Welcome to today's episode of our candidate interviews for the 2020 elections coming up here in Phoenix. We have the honor of interviewing Merissa Hamilton right now. She is running for the city mayor for the 2020 election. And Merissa, I'd like to learn a few things about you and your campaign from a small business perspective. If you could start out by telling us what differentiates you from your opponent, any of your opponents, from a business perspective.
Sure. So from a business perspective, I have a strong business background, which my opponent doesn't. Her background is really as a lobbyist. And whereas I come from a family of small business owners, my father owned a very small cleaning company. When I was little, I used to go clean the local city mall with him. I've pretty much started working in small businesses since I was 5, which is where I would fold my father's invoices for his cleaning customers. My stepdad was a contractor, and so he would do a lot of home renovations, and I was very familiar with how government can interrupt the planning and development process from working side by side with him. I also have 19 years of experience in the supply chain, food service, grocery retail, technology, and financial sectors with a focus on master data management. And in that time, I largely led national committees where we developed within the business community data standards that impact food safety and our supply chain and indirectly public health. And so I understand what it takes to be able to develop policy and standards where you are not a barrier to the brand new entrepreneur that's trying to enter the marketplace, or the entrepreneur that's very innovative and wants to launch a new product, or be very innovative in the industry as to a new technology. But at the same time, you need to be able to have that policy be strong enough to meet the requirements that are effective for a Costco or a US Foods and a very large national or international organization. And so that's really what my focus has been in my professional career, is making sure that we had policies where our business community could keep their customers and the supply chain safe and world-class, but at the same time not interrupt business. And so that's really what my approach is when it comes to the position of mayor. The mayor's office is a very important office. You play the role of the figurehead, and I believe that I would be a better candidate and a better option for Phoenix to grow our business sector. I have the policy experience and the private sector experience where I can attract a lot of the very large innovative companies nationally, but also be able to level the playing field so our own small businesses here can compete and compete on an international scale. And I think that that's what's important for Phoenix. Phoenix has the opportunity to really lead the nation when it comes to innovation, especially from the challenges that we faced through COVID. We are an ideal location when it comes to being a manufacturing and supply chain hub of the country. And we haven't taken advantage of that. And that's one thing that I would like to bring that I think my current opponent and mayor has not been successful with.
Do you have any plans for any legislative, any legislation that you would like to see happen that would impact small businesses in the city of Phoenix? Either any new legislation that you're possibly considering, or repealing any old legislation that you think might be a barrier to the small business community?
Yes, I won't get into too many specifics right now, but overall, my experience of working at the city council, I worked for Councilman DeCiccio for 1 year, and we found that there was a lot of interruptions to the business community, especially for new businesses. And so I think that we need to build a better relationship with our business community, our small business community, and our large corporations. I have a phrase where I talk about Phoenix corporate. And sometimes I think that we ignore some of the needs of our smaller business community, and I think that that's a mistake. I think that that's something that Phoenix must do a better job with. As And I also find that with planning and development, especially as a business is looking to expand, planning and development can be one of the biggest roadblocks for a business getting started. And there are many inconsistencies within that department. And so you may have one inspector that says one thing and then another inspector that says something different. And I found while working at the council for in a role of constituent services as the director of that department, that we had many issues that would happen where a business would invest maybe $100,000 into redevelopment that the City of Phoenix Planning Department required, and then the next inspector would say, that's not acceptable, we need you to change it. That's not, and from a business community, every single dollar that a business invests back into their business is critical. They could have used that money to employ someone. They could have used that money on advertising, but instead they decided to expand their business so that we could be more successful here in the city of Phoenix. So those are some areas that I think that we need to take a close look at. Also, our taxation policy is inconsistent right now. When you take a look at, for example, what happened with Uber and Lyft and rideshare. With COVID-19, I think that our sharing economy is critical as something that we need to support. And especially for those that have lost their jobs or lost their businesses, there's a lot of opportunities there. And there's a lot of opportunities for more innovation in that arena. And for us to have an unpredictable fee or tax structure where you can nearly eliminate an entirely new industry at the will of the council with bad policies, I think is something that we need to take a different look at and look at smarter solutions. We absolutely need to be able to maintain a growing and prosperous revenue stream for the city of Phoenix so that we can support infrastructure projects. But at the same time, we should not be picking winners and losers within our business community to do that. And so it's interesting because my opponent has been very cautious when it comes to everyone being able to have equality when it comes to a living wage or some of the catchphrases like paying their fair share. But I think when we look at our taxation policies, that in many ways that same principle doesn't apply. And I don't think that it's government's role to pick winners and losers. Instead, what I'd like to see is an economic growth plan where Phoenix can really out-serve and out-innovate the challenges that we now face because of this mayor's isolation policies and her terrible policies when it comes to shutdowns, where businesses have lost everything and haven't really been able to recover from that. So I think that we need to figure out first where the cards fall, so to speak, as far as the near future of the economy, and find ways that we can make it easier for our businesses to prosper and succeed, and look at the regulations, look at the structure that we have on that, and find what opportunities there are, and basically look at from an essential and non-essential perspective. Is this an essential function of our government? Is this an essential regulation on our business? Does it even apply anymore with our new economy that we're facing? And if it doesn't, then let's look at repealing it so it's easier for our businesses to operate in Phoenix. And also, we have a lot of people that are moving from other states that want to come and prosper in Phoenix. And I think that we need to make sure that we are open up for opportunity and we take the lead on innovation in our state. For those opportunities. I think that's in the best interest of Arizona in general. Those are not that's not the focus of my opponent. My opponent instead would like to see the economy rebuilt in a climate social justice image. And that's a very dangerous policy for our business community. That means that our business community will face a future where there will be high taxation in ways that don't actually necessarily benefit our environment or benefit our local economy, and instead are more tax schemes, and really pick winners and losers in the economy. It's really a way to socially mechanize our economy, and that's really anti-American. That goes against our free market legacy as one of the greatest countries in the world. And so I think that we need to stay true to our roots of being open for business in Phoenix.
You've touched a lot on economic growth, and that was actually going to be my next question. Is there anything else you would like to add around your plans for economic growth in Phoenix?
Well, I am very excited about what the future holds for Phoenix. We really have a choice this election. We can decide if we want to face the challenges that we've had with COVID-19 with a start and stop economy. I think that we've seen how disastrous those policies have been. I think that we have seen that there have been issues with the data, and that at the same time, we have not supported our business community with the policies that they need to really know how to keep our community safe, really know how to keep their employees safe. And that's created a lot of uncertainty. We've had a lot of people that have lost their jobs from that. And I think that's very unfortunate, but it doesn't have to be that way. If we took a standards approach, which is what my experience is in, we had to take a standards approach through past crises like SARS and H1N1, where we needed to make sure that we could protect the entire global supply chain, but at the same time innovate so that we could keep our economy moving. And we were very successful with that. We were able to get over 90% adoption in the policies that we recommended to the industries that I served. And I think that that's the same approach that we need to take in Phoenix. Good ideas don't require the force of the police to enforce them. When it comes to our business community wants to serve the community. They want to make sure that everyone is safe. And I think that that's an important differentiation between the way that I would lead the city versus what the city experiences today. We can serve and out innovate the crises that we face today, and we can have a stronger economy than we've ever seen before if we work together and we make sure that government is playing its proper role and not interrupting our business community's success.
Final question, is there anything else that you would like to share with the small business owners, especially here in North Phoenix, that maybe if they're sitting on the fence, they're not sure how to make a decision on the mayoral candidate at this point? Why would a small business owner in your district or within the city of Phoenix support you for your candidacy?
I think that we can go back to March 17th, which is the day that the mayor decided to shut down our economy, major sectors of our economy, with a tweet that she took on a cell phone video with a pink background. On that day, that was really a devastating day for our business community, especially our restaurant community, which is the primary industry I come from and is so close to my heart. I think that the business community was misled as to that entire situation. What we found out shortly after that tweet, she claimed that she had support of the council, but I worked at the council and I talked to our council members, and by that Friday, we were able to reverse her great emergency to a local emergency. I spoke to our restaurant community, and they had not been in touch or heard from the mayor. And that's a huge difference as to the way that I will lead our city, is that I look at our business community as key stakeholders, and that those type of decisions need to be first made by talking to the business community and seeing what alternatives are out there before we shut down someone's livelihood and shut down their hopes and dreams, which is really what every single business is. It's someone's hope and dream. And the other thing that we were misled on is that she had communication with local public health, which we know from Maricopa County Department that she did not talk to Dr. Sunshine before shutting down, and that it was a premature lockdown. And in that meeting that was public for the city council, we were informed that when we opened back up, we would have a huge surge in cases, and that it was really an irresponsible and dangerous knee-jerk reaction is what we saw. Rather, instead, the steps that I took on those days, and I was not planning to run for mayor at that time, I was just trying to protect our business community. I looked at the National Restaurant Association. I saw on March 11th, they had actually done a webinar with the CDC guidance that we needed to be able to keep our businesses open and keep them safe. And that information was in progress of being distributed throughout Phoenix and Arizona. And if the mayor had, rather than listening to the political voices such as Kirsten Sinema, if she had actually taken the time to reach out to the business community, she would have learned that our businesses were already on top of it. They were finding better innovations than what government has now required of them. And so really what we have seen play out is that government interrupted the innovation that businesses were already ahead of the game on to keep our community safe. And I think that the end result has been is that we are less safe, our economy is less secure, and we don't have the stability that is needed for a strong business environment. And so I would encourage the business community to reach out to me directly. My email address is marissa@hamiltonformayor.com. My cell phone number is 480-374-0102. I have an open door policy. I would love to hear from our business community as to what they need to be able to succeed in Phoenix. And I think that together we can develop an economy that has smarter solutions that work for all.
Merissa Hamilton, we heard it here first. Thank you very much for your time today. I appreciate you sharing your perspective on helping the small business community in Phoenix.